Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
On this Camper Report Show, we've got three new exciting RV products. They're must-haves for any camper that likes eating, drinking, or relaxing. How about you, Bob?
That's me.
That's you. Okay.
That's me. I'll watch your interview. Okay.
Okay.
I've got a return visit from Jen Turntine, who has got to the completion phase of franchising RV South Park, and they've just announced their first contract in Georgia. And we're going to be talking about the franchising program and how people can invest in the RV South Park
All that and more coming up right here. Where, Bob?
on the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the news segment of the Camper Report Show. My name is John DePietro. Bob Zagami is with me. And Bob, there's some interesting news, really good news, because when we talked about this as breaking news just a few months ago, the big floods in Yellowstone, I saw some news footage that I said, there's no way they're going to get that done in a year. And they got it all cleaned up in just a few months. Amazing.
Just 2 months. And when you think of how slow the government works, I was like you, it'd be shut down everything
Yep.
for a year. And if you were lucky, it was a year, and it might be even longer than that. But they did a complete rebuilding, and they reopened after that heavy damage that they had in the flooding of the river. And they made it. The two sections were the Wapiti and the big game camp areas between Cody and Yellowstone, and they rebuilt everything. A lot of them had to go all the way down to the electricity. They reconfigured some of them because the river going through Yellowstone actually changed its topography,
Yep.
and somehow they did it in 2 months.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Kudos to the government on that, the National Park Service. You know what? They really do a great job, because when you think of the national parks, when you think of how many there are and how big some of the big ones are, and then to realize that one of the bigger ones had huge damage, and they got the job done. So you know what? We'd be yelling at them if they didn't get the job done. Let's congratulate
but
them.
yeah, I think they're a model for other
Yep.
government agencies to
Yep.
see the dedication of these people, and they realize the tremendous loss. I mean, some people make reservations 2 or 3 years out to get to Yellowstone. It's the most visited
Yep.
national park in our system.
Yep.
And to have that kind of a situation be so upsetting, to lose your vacation and the money that you spent, the reservations, and to turn that around in 2 months, you're right. They
Right.
deserve some type of an
Right.
award.
You know, when you think that reservation was made sometimes 2 years ago, and the anticipation of that trip, and then reading those headlines and looking at the devastation, you say there's no way that we're going to get it done. But they did, and maybe they can be a model for the next subject that we're going to talk
Yeah.
about.
Especially
That,
think about this. What if they made the reservation pre-COVID, and then COVID hits, and they're worried about being able to go, and COVID finally disappears. It's the year to go. The flood comes, and they can't go.
all at once, all at
Yeah.
once. But let's see now. There is a new situation that just is taking place as we speak. It's only a couple days
Right.
old.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, out in the far northwest corner of Massachusetts, in the tiny town of Adams, at the base of Mount Greylock, which is the highest peak in southern New England, the town of Adams is asking for RFPs for developers to come in and build a campground. Okay. Normally you see towns saying, wait a minute, we don't want a campground. Here's a situation where, it's not going to be, like the unit that you have behind you. They're going to be limited in size, and there's going to be a lot of tents. But the mere fact that the government now is realizing that RVers are good for the economics of their marketplace, that is a vast turnaround.
I'll tell you, in looking at this press release, I am really impressed with everything about it. Number one, that they would go through a request for proposal stage, recognizing that there are people out there like Blue Water Development, like Sun Life, many of the facilities that you visited, who would be very attracted to developing this type of a campground. It's a 140 site campground, and it's in a $50 million Greylock Glen Resort at the base, like you say, of Mount Greylock. So, I mean, that's amazing that, you know, that
And
they have that kind of exposure, and it's environmentally friendly, also.
exactly. I talked with some of their people today, and we're going to have them on. We're going to do a special interview with them as to find out why they picked the campground when they could build there instead of a ski lift or paddling or something else. So
Well,
that is very interesting.
it is interesting because they note that they're going to have a conference center, an outdoor recreation and environmental education center, a performing arts amphitheater, and dozens of miles of multi-use trails. But it does appear that the only residential aspect to the project is the campground. Now, they will have cabins, they'll have glamping structures and or tent sites. So it's going to be, but having it as part of that out there, there's 3 million people a year that visit the Berkshires.
Right. And now there is a train. It just started in middle of June, a train from New York City that will go right to Pittsfield. So an Amtrak train, it goes up to Albany and then bends over and goes right into the Pittsfield. It's called the Berkshire Flyer. So, the visitors that come to the Berkshires, they're affluent people because they're the New Yorkers that come straight up the river, if you will.
Our favorite place out there is the Norman Rockwell Museum.
Yeah, in
Stockbridge.
Sherburne Falls or
Stockbridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one that has the one with the policeman, the state trooper with the kid.
Yeah. They're rotating. They have so many of his works that they rotate them in and out. But
exactly.
That's a great place to go up there. But that's going to be a good boom for that area, like you say, especially the New York people that come up or come over from Albany in that particular area. Absolutely.
Exactly. And speaking of celebrities, and one of the stories that we just pulled, actually, we pulled them all out of RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine. I'm thinking that maybe our friends Kessler and Sherm and Greg at RV Business have merged with Forbes Magazine because there's another RV related story in Forbes. And it seems like every week finding something RV related in Forbes Magazine. And this is a situation where they did a big story about RVing is becoming popular to new people that never heard of it, but they're hearing about it because there are celebrities like Will Smith, when he's not beating up somebody else, is driving around in his $2.5 million, I think it's a fifth wheel. It's something
custom fifth wheel. Yeah.
And there are other celebrities that you want to talk about there that new people are being introduced to RVing, and celebrities have a lot to do with it.
Here's my problem with this article. I must be too old because
I didn't know who they were either.
I have no idea who Kristen Bell is. I've heard of Justin Bieber. I don't consider them celebrities. However, there are, they're recognizing the value of having a high-end RV, both for traveling, but also in terms of the dressing room when they're on site. They want to go on vacations, and it doesn't hurt to have them. And Miranda Lambert has gotten a lot of attention in the last month or so because she's doing a contest with Airstream where you can win an Airstream trailer and a Dodge a Ram pickup truck to tow it. So it truly is mainstream now. There is no question about it. But there are $1 and $2 million. A Prevost bus conversions, $2.5 million. There's several companies doing those. There's a company out in California that just does customized fifth wheels. Actually, they make one with a 2-story fifth wheel that will cost you upwards of $5 million. So when they want to continue their comfort, they can do it with an RV now, and they've recognized that.
Yeah, just last week when we were in New York City, they were shooting a segment of CSI, one of those cops and robber shows on Crime Stoppers or something like that, and they had 7 or 8 RVs that were put together specifically for the stars to use when they were shooting. So we got some pictures of that last week in New York, and look at the number of TV commercials that you see for a wide variety of different products that contain RVs in them. So to say that that RVing has gone mainstream is certainly probably the understatement of the week.
Everybody wants one.
Everybody wants one. So with that being said, again, we want to thank our friends at RV Business and Woodalls. And if you are so inclined, just hit the subscribe button that you see down in the bottom right-hand corner here, and like us too, and share it with other people.
Share it with your friends. Yep.
So that is the news section. We've got two great segments coming up right here. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Camper Report Show. And if the man on the left or the right, I'm not sure which way the camera is going to pop up there, is Jim Turntine, from RV creator and founder of RV Self Park. Jim, good to catch up to you again. I know there's been a lot of things happening with the success of the park and the whole process. So why don't you give us just a quick snippet of how you started RV Self Park, but then I really want to talk about the franchising and what's coming ahead in the next few years.
Well, as you know, I've been an RVer for a long time, and my background, I just was looking for a place to park and move on, not necessarily a campground, and eventually decided to just build what I felt like was missing in the industry, and we did, and then move forward with patenting things that we kind of had to invent to make that happen, and then set up the franchising program, and doing all that through COVID, and now through $6 a gallon diesel fuel and the travel plummet has been kind of a roller coaster, but we're trudging forward and now beginning to the expansion that we really want to do with the model, with the business model.
Yep. And I saw the announcement last week that you signed the paperwork for your first franchise down in Georgia. So talk about what it takes to get a franchise and why people should be interested in that at this point in time.
Well, we ask all interested parties to use our website, which is simple, rvselfpark.com. And there is a franchise inquiry link on there because we have to track it. Franchising is a lot more complicated than I originally anticipated, but the laws are very strict and we're registered in most states. However, we want to start our expansion only in the southern states, southeast, mainly because of the traffic flows and the weather patterns. We want to start out with the business model in the very best possible locations that we can. And to get started, that's where we get our inquiries through that website. Then we track all of the conversation, everything that happens throughout the process. And we're there and we are actively engaged right now with, I don't know, probably maybe about a dozen significant potential partners, and we have 2 or 3 that are solid and actually starting to happen now.
You know, one of the things that intrigues me about this concept, number one, I've believed in it. You know, I think I've known you now 3 years, and we talked right after you first thought of this concept. But the franchising, I think, could be explosive. But when you look at the initial people who have been interested in franchising, what's the demographic profile, or is it all over the place?
It's probably, I guess you could say it's all over the place, but the ones we treat most seriously are the ones who have, credibility from a standpoint of construction, development, property management background. All of those elements of experience are kind of instrumental in being able to, find property, develop a property, work with the government authorities and contractors, and typically already financially established with the bank and things like that. So those are the people that we probably look at the hardest and take the most serious. But we've had all sorts of inquiries. I would imagine we're in the second 100 probably since we opened up our link here, I don't know, 6 months ago.
If you can talk about it, have there been any existing campgrounds that see this as something that might be an add-on to what they're doing? Anything like that?
Yeah, and I have to be 100% honest and full disclosure. I've got a couple of gentlemen, actually they're family members, my brother-in-law and his son, who both are into marketing, have marketing degrees and background, and they've been doing 99% of the interaction with their inquiries. I try to keep to work on, we've set up, recently I've established a manufacturing facility so we can build all the parts and pieces. And, we're building the training center within that facility. So I kind of stay focused on the meat and potatoes. I don't know how else to describe it, but meanwhile, Mike and Cody, they interact with all of the inquiries and interview them and talk with them and begin to sort that stuff out. I will say, yes, we've had several existing campground owners, folks that either had just sold their traditional campground that wanted to get away from, basically the dealing with the employees and things like that, because it's much simpler. So we've had all sorts, and I can't tell you everyone because I only hear kind of the report of, well, we talked to this guy or that guy, and this one seems like it's going to come together. You can kind of see how that would work.
Yeah. You've got a great background in terms of your business success with several companies. One of the things when we talked earlier that really impressed me was you are putting together, explain the process, but you're putting together the makings of 5 or 6 campgrounds so that when you sign a franchise, you are ready to go. So it's not something, give me your money and 2 years later, we'll be able to do the, explain that process.
Well, all the parts, if you looked at our park or you've seen some of the photographs of the park, everything for the services, all the utilities are condensed into what we call a service island. So in that service island is the computers and the Wi-Fi distribution antenna, and of course the pedestal for the electric and the water and the sewer door. All of that stuff is together. So we are pre-building those, pre-wiring, and then we also have our distribution points, which we have a water manifold system, and then of course a big electrical box with all the individual breakers, and then all the relays and things that send the power to the individual site. So all of those major elements can be made ahead of time. So we are manufacturing those in our facility now. I think we have 3 parks worth of equipment ready to go. And so ultimately what we'll do on site is have the contractor, dig the trenches and bring the services in and probably get the street lights up, if you will. And then we will ship everything to the site just in time. And basically you'll set these service islands in the trenches and connect the wire with, through the conduits and then the trenches. And the actual construction process will go pretty quick once everything's on site.
Yeah. Explain your philosophy about the park. It's not competitive to a campground. It fits a void in the camping world in terms of people don't necessarily want to stop at a truck stop, and they don't want to stop at a Walmart. And there's going to be some restrictions based on commercial buildings acting as an overnight thing. So talk about the philosophy of where this fits in our camping world.
Well, to me, I was never comfortable staying at a Cracker Barrel or a Walmart or any of those places. I just feel like, and I said it before, free isn't free. Most people I think that I talk to agree with me. You don't feel comfortable if you don't know you're there and someone's not going to be upset or in the middle of the night, wake you up or other worse things that can happen, in noise, other things like that. So I don't mind paying the money. I want to plug in. I want to have water, sewer, and I want to be where I know I'm safe and secure. And so that's what these parks are for the traveler, but also for I'll say the non-camping visitor to any area where the park may be. We get a lot of local salespeople, folks that traveling nurses is a big element that I didn't realize how many of those are out there. And so they don't want to be kind of out in the middle of nowhere. They're not looking to camp and build a fire. They just want a place to park their camper. They're going to be here for a week or 2 weeks or a month, or I've got a guy that's been here for many months. That's a traveling nurse. So, it's using the RV for either the travel aspect or visiting an area for a wedding. We've had wedding parties that are in town, for the weekend, and 5 or 6 family members have come with their RVs instead of staying in a hotel. They've got their pets, et cetera, et cetera. So the model really to me is it's the hotel for the RVers that have the RV that don't want to stay in a hotel. They've got their stuff, they got their dog, their kids, and it's the opposite of camping, but it's still using your RV.
Yeah, you're not going there for a resort. You're going there
No.
for the accommodation and the convenience of what is offered. Get off the
Exactly.
highway, enjoy a meal, good night's sleep, protected area.
Exactly.
It is a great concept. There's no
Well,
question.
and I'll tell you that at least probably about 50% of our guests, we allow a 14-hour stay. We'll sell 14 hours, and half of our guests for the last year, I can tell you, tracking half of them select 14 hours. They're just passing through. That's all they need, all they want, and that's fine with us. That's how. And those 14 hours can start at 2 a.m. or they can start at 6 a.m. or they can start at 5 p.m. and they do. We'll see them. I had 2 last night that came in after midnight. So that's what it's for.
Well, and being a technology guy yourself, you've built technology into the system that really isn't available anywhere else in terms of this particular business model. So our guest this morning has been Jim Turntine, with the creator and founder of RV Self Park. And Jim, every time I catch up to you, you got something new and something creative. You're moving in the right direction. And I want to wish you the best of luck with the franchising operation. So any last words for our consumer fans?
Just hopefully the fuel comes down. We'll get people traveling again, because travel is been devastated by the fuel prices and everything else. Inflation, hopefully will get better. But thank you, Bob, as always. You're a great friend, and we appreciate what you're doing for the industry and for us. Thank you.
All right, Jim. Thanks very much.
Take care.
Bye now.
Hey everybody, RVing is so much fun, and one of the cool things about RVing is finding out all the new items that are on the market. We're here at Majors RV with our friend Jeff, and Jeff, one of the things that RVers like to do is sit down.
Oh, absolutely, John. That's the whole point. It's called relaxation, John. It's one of the reasons why we all RV.
Okay, so you have a new product that just came on the market that you're really...
Well, actually, John, it's the second generation of our number one selling chair. The first generation, this is our rocker chair. It's made by GCI. It's the Freestyle Rocker. The first generation was a wonderful rocking chair, very, very comfortable.
Jeff, that doesn't look like a rocker.
Yeah, I know, Dave. That's the amazing thing about it. Instead of your conventional curved arms with the rocks in the campgrounds, it's actually rotating on some pistons in the back.
Ah.
So once you get the chair level, you don't have to worry about any rocks or what have you. Okay. So the second generation of the Freestyle Rocker, they've actually added this nice little side table.
Okay.
Place for your phone, some beverage, wine holder, or whatever you may be.
What are we buying?
And let me just tell you, very comfortable.
Now,
Don't
Jeff,
take my word for it.
Jeff, I don't want to take your word for it. There's got to be some. Tammy. Now, Tammy, you don't work here, right?
No, I do
So you're
not.
going to give us an honest evaluation of this chair,
Okay.
right? Go ahead, Tammy.
Oh, this is very comfortable.
And it doesn't look like a rocker, does it, Tammy?
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay. So, Tammy, roughly, what do you think this cost?
Roughly $80.
Oh, roughly $80. Now, you were checking it before. What does it feel like it cost?
It feels like it costs $200.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna buy this.
Think you're going to buy it? Okay.
It's actually, the chair is $88. The second generation has really made a big difference. That side table is awfully nice and convenient. You don't need a separate small table. Let's face it, when you're sitting down, you want to relax. You don't have to get up and go get your drink.
Look at her Vanna White this thing here. Look at the way she does that. So I think you can even put your click projector there, Jeff. So if you've got a satellite dish.
If you got an outside TV, you absolutely could, John.
Okay, Tammy, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
now, you want to talk about water?
Yeah,
Because
John. The other thing is,
that's so
while
important.
we're relaxing, one of the things that we tend to overlook in the camper is, hey, water. Hey, like, so many people that are bringing jugs of water, bottles of water, gallons of water, and the reality
Yeah.
is, if your system, you're not covered with a system, then absolutely that's what you need to do. Well, there's an option, John. That option is putting in a disinfectant system with a dedicated faucet. Now, this is kind of unique in the fact that it's not using any chemicals to disinfect the water. There's no bleach. There's no chlorine. This is using UV LED technology that is removing 99.9% of the bacteria and viruses that can occur in the water.
Okay.
So,
and especially at a campground, Jeff, you really,
unknown water
you
sources.
don't know where you're coming
Well,
from.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
you're hoping that the campground is supplying a quality water source, but quite frankly, you also don't know the water lines that are in your RV. When's the last time they were cleaned, disinfected? This is taking care of that because the water will come into here, and right from here is going to that dedicated faucet. So
Okay.
out of this faucet, you have got 100% pure,
All your
clean drinking water.
Now, Jeff, it's no secret that hauling those 40 packs of bottled water, it's a
gallons
pain.
of- Now, and what are we doing with all these plastic bottles? They're filling landfills. They're doing all of those things, John.
Plus,
this
I will
eliminates
admit,
all of that.
I will admit, Jeff, to having a 1 gallon of water that I left on the counter, and then I go around a corner. What happens to that 1 gallon of water?
It's now on the floor, and
Floor.
you now have a gallon of water all over the floor.
place.
Yeah, absolutely, John. This eliminates all of that.
And where this is the system right here,
this
right?
is the whole system, John.
Where is that installed, Jeff? Is that
Usually this
visible,
will be
or-
installed right underneath the kitchen sink.
Okay.
You'll have a water line that's coming in. The water gets purified using UV LED technology. The water will come out right to this dedicated faucet, and you got 100% pure drinking water.
Okay, a ballpark price on
That's
that.
running around $400.
Okay.
It's not a terribly difficult install if you
So
if you're
a
semi-handy.
consumer can do it
Yeah,
themselves.
for your
Okay.
basic skill set, yes, you could install it. It's just a water line coming in, a water line going out, and it's running on 12 volts.
Right.
So it doesn't need the 110 power. So my boondockers out there who are not using campgrounds and they're using their own water system out of their own holding tank, this will also purify that as well.
Okay, the reason I ask you ballpark figure is because, we're here in New England, but with our national audience, they may not find it convenient, but they can buy it at other places.
Oh,
as well.
absolutely, absolutely. It's a Yakuba system. We've gone all in on it. It has been a wonderful, wonderful system for us.
Okay, so now we've sat in that
comforts.
chair. Okay,
We got comfort
water.
of a different kind.
And let's face it, the number one thing that RVers like to do is eat. Okay, what do you got? What do you got for us, Jeff? Thank you, Tammy.
Look at that.
Well, folks, and an endorsement there that worked out.
It was
See,
very comfortable.
Tammy,
Awesome,
thank you so
Tammy.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's
That
face
was
it, John,
unrehearsed.
We love to eat in the RV. So Lippert actually came out with an improved barbecue. This is using nothing but more than briquettes. This is not running on
Propane.
This is strictly a briquette. You put the briquettes in here. It has a little fan, so you can adjust the speed of that fan, so you can get it hotter. You can keep it a little bit cooler.
Now,
Here's your grilling.
I'm guess, Jeff. My guess is that because you've got the fan, you might not need to use the same amount of charcoal.
You can actually use
Does that sound right?
significantly less amount of charcoal. That's one of the points of the fan. And the other thing is, if you want to kick that heat up a little bit more, you can add the same amount and just crank that fan on high. And now you're talking about a real searing event.
So if you want to cook a burger, it's different than if you're
Cooking a steak or what have you. If you want to
or
cook some,
what do you call those ribs there, where you cook baby back ribs,
Oh,
where you
now
cook them
you're
for
talking, John.
hours on a low heat.
you can also use this if you want to put some fish on there. Obviously, with the fish, you would want that on a lower heat. Coming with its own carrying bag, please
carrying
do
case.
not put this in the case while the charcoal is still hot. You
Right,
have to
yeah,
wait for it to
yeah,
cool
okay.
down.
Yeah.
But the beauty
We
of the
did warn
case-
you.
You've been warned. But it's got a case, nice carrying case for it. But here's the other thing, John. It also comes with
You put the meat in it.
Yeah, it comes with a little cooler.
Oh, okay. So,
So-
when that thing is filled, it doesn't take a lot of space.
No, that's essentially the space that it's taking. So you're not talking about lugging around this big grill up underneath your rig. Let's face it, space in those compartments it's at a premium. So yeah, small profile, can fit somewhere in your basements. Quick, easy, briquettes, control the flame. And I believe it also has a USB port. You can even charge your phone off of it as well.
that right? No,
yeah,
come on.
yes, it does.
No,
Yes, it does, John.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there it is.
That's crazy.
There's your USB port right underneath the fan.
Oh my goodness. Yep, there's some battery there. So
Yeah,
we want
so
to thank
it's
you so
for the
much,
place.
folks. There's always new items coming out to make your camping more enjoyable, and we want to thank the folks at Majors RV in Massachusetts for being our host and our guide right here on, say it, Jeff, right here on the Camper Report Show.
At Majors RV on the Camper Report Show.